couple of years ago, this book only existed in my brain, and now I'm about to send it to beta readers, which honestly feels kind of terrifying. So today I want to have just a bit of a conversation, I guess, about this process, about the book, how it's been, where I'm at and how I'm feeling. I have always toyed with the idea of writing a book, and I've always wanted to. Ever since I was little, teachers have kind of always said, Carly is going to grow up to be an author and things like that. And for whatever reason, I guess I kind of channeled my ability to write pretty well, I think, into like academic pursuits. As some of you know, I did a PhD and I submitted it last November and passed the Viva and all that stuff, and I'm currently working on my final amendments. So I went that kind of route, and I never really did fiction writing a great deal. And I think that's probably partly because I suppose when I was younger, I used to write fan fictions, and then I never managed to finish them. And I think I honestly always use that as an excuse to say, look, you can't be a writer, you can't do this, you'll never finish it, you're not good enough. But you know what? There is nothing like the trauma of death to really put things into perspective and to motivate you to stop being a little bitch and just do something rather than always insisting you can't. That motivation came for me when my dad died less than a year ago. It was after a long battle with cancer. It was very traumatic. My mental health, I think, is probably irreparably damaged. I had been planning this book and indeed this series for well over a year by that point. I think as I got back into reading in 2021 kind of time, more and more it rekindled my love of writing as well and made me actually really want to do it. So I started going back to some fanfics, and I was like, oh no, no. Then I was like, let's try something else. Let's actually write a proper book instead of trying to resurrect something I wrote when I was 16. And I spent, like I said, probably over a year just plotting this series and really thinking about this series, what it was and what I wanted it to be. And I ended up plotting basically an 11-book paranormal romance series about demon kings and their fated human mates. It's 11 books at the minute. It started off at 6, then it went to 8, then it went to 10, and now it's 11. So who knows how much it will be in the end, but that's what I've got so far. But as much as I spent all that time planning this series, I think I was also partly using that as an excuse to not write it. And I'm glad I did all that planning. I don't regret it. But equally, I think I could have started writing a lot sooner than I did. And I needed that push to start writing. That push being my dad dying. Thank you, Dad. You're always coming in clutch for me. So I started writing it at the end of September, and I finished writing it, I want to say like mid-November. Basically, it took me 6 weeks to write the first draft of my first book, and it was 95,000 words, and it was a fucking huge moment. And I went away, left it for 4 weeks. During that time, I really firmed up all of the little things that the first drafting process had highlighted, because you can plan for years, but you won't fully get to the nitty-gritty of everything in your world until you start writing it. So the writing process threw up some, this is inconsistent. Oh, I don't know about this. So I really spent those 4 weeks like figuring out what I was going to do for draft 2, how I was going to amend it, and figuring out the world, like the more granular detail. And then I came back, I read it again, and I was like, do you know what? This is actually really shit. And bless her, I have an amazing friend who is a very talented indie author whose books I absolutely love. Her name is Amber Bailey, and I've featured her books a lot because I genuinely really love them. And she agreed to read like the first 3 chapters for me, and you know, she came back, she did like a whole like line editing thing for me. She gave me like really detailed advice, and there was some stuff like, she was like, as beautiful and special as it was to read 10 paragraphs about the colour of leaves in your world, do you think maybe readers might get bored? And I was like, Amber, the people want to know. So anyway, I learned some lessons about being concise. But no, that really helped me. And what became abundantly clear to me was that the book didn't quite hit the way it needed to. It wasn't as impactful as it needed to be. The relationship needed to be more developed than it was. And the ending particularly, I felt just felt a little bit flat. So in preparation for draft 2, I basically made a plan for rewriting as much of the book as needed rewriting. So I took out scenes, I added in scenes, I completely rewrote, I want to say probably the last 8 chapters of the book. I reckon I probably rewrote maybe a good 60 to 70-ish% of the book in draft 2, and it is so much better for it. But I learned a lot during that break. I used that break quite strategically, like I said, to firm up the world and stuff like that, but I also did a great deal of paranormal romance reading, and particularly by authors I really respect and love. And quite a lot learned from just reading more books and reading them very mindfully, and looking at how the books are constructed and reading it as an author rather than a reader. And so draft 2 became, I think, what is ultimately the endless draft, because I didn't want to go on to like doing like 10 drafts, so I started doing like draft 2.1, draft 2.2. I'm on draft 2.5 right now, and draft 1 had about 3 versions, so I've probably been through this book at least 10 times by this point. But each time was really important, because each time I could see different things about the book that needed changing or needed taking out or whatever. And it's finally gotten to the point now where what I am changing is generally like, oh, you're waffling a bit too much here, let's take out this sentence or two. Oh, let's change around the construction of this sentence. Oops, here's a typo. Like really minor stuff, which tells me it's time for beta readers. And I've been over the months sharing stuff about this book on my Instagram, particularly on my Instagram stories, so go and follow me over there if you are interested, because that's the place that I predominantly share about the book. I want to kind of round up by just talking generally about how I'm feeling at this stage now. But before I do that, a few quick things that nobody tells you when you're writing your own book, in case anybody is interested, anybody's thinking of doing it. 1, you will reread the same section about 15 times and you won't notice anything wrong with it, and then you'll leave it for like 2 weeks and you'll come back and do a reread of the book again, and you'll read that same section and you'll go, why is this wrong? Why is everything in this bad? What the fuck am I doing? The amount of times that's happened, it's so frustrating and makes me want to die. Reading, I think, is like 80% staring into space as well. A lot of it is not clicky-clacking on your keyboard. It's actually just thinking and being like, how do I get from A to B, and what is B anymore, and also what's A, and what's life? You will hate your own book sometimes, and that's okay. And you will be crippled with self-doubt all the time about your book, but you know what? Put it to the side, fuck it, wait for the beta readers to tell you you're shit. Until the beta readers have told you you're shit, you're not shit. So put it to the side. Leave it for them to ruin your hopes and dreams. My advice really is that you are going to, if you approach writing your first book the right way, you are going to vastly improve your own capabilities and level up really, really quickly in between drafts. If you go in writing draft 1 and wanting it to be perfect and expecting it to be perfect, you probably will never finish a book, but if you do, it's probably not going to be great. If you go into draft 1 not expecting it to be perfect, you'll probably finish the book and it probably still won't be great. But the main thing is you're not going to abandon it because you know it can't be perfect on the first draft. It never will be. And I think it's really important that you take the time in between drafts and even versions of drafts to, 1, give yourself a break from that universe that you've created. Let your mind forget about it a bit, because you can't do proper editing if you have literally just written it 3 days ago. But also use the space in between the drafts to level up. One of the best ways to do that is, like I said, read in your specific genre and in your specific subgenre during that time. Read lots, read widely, read people you really respect and admire and that you think are great at their craft. Back before writing conferences and courses and degrees and all that were a twinkle in someone's eye, how did all of the greats back in the day learn how to write? They learnt by reading others. That's honestly, I think, one of the best things that you can do, but not reading like a reader, reading critically like an author and really paying attention to what other authors are doing. Your work will always improve, even when you've gone through 10 drafts. Your work will always have things it can improve, and it will never be perfect. So go into draft 2 expecting and being prepared to change it, and being willing to significantly change it if you need to, if that is what is for the better. But how I'm feeling now, I don't know. A mix of things. I did want this video to be a bit more chatty, so I didn't structure anything, but I feel like the video is just like my ADHD has just had the time of its life with this video, so I do apologise for that. I mean, I guess I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling scared. It feels vulnerable. But I feel optimistic as well, and as a lifelong pessimist, that's very rare for me. I truly feel like I've found my calling with writing, and this honestly feels like the first thing I've ever done where it feels like I was meant to do this. This is what I was kind of called to do. And until my beta readers come back and tell me my book is shit, I'm going to allow myself to feel that way. I haven't been ready to share a great deal about it, particularly while things are subject to change and I'm still going through things. But once the kind of beta reader process is over, that is when I'm going to, I think, start hardcore sharing things and start teasing it and like letting you guys know more about the world that I've created. I will be in the future looking for ARC readers, hoping to get quite a few reviews in place kind of before release, on release day and things like that. And yeah, things are going to start moving forward and I'm going to have to decide on a release date at some point, and that's a little scary, huh? But I also want to thank you guys across all of my kind of social medias. Every time I post something about my book and I get a comment, it really makes my day. And the amount of people that have reached out to me over the months in DMs or in comments or whatever, just to tell me how excited they are or what they think about something I've shared or whatever, really makes me very happy. And I don't know, I'm really grateful for all of the support. I really don't take it lightly. I really appreciate it, genuinely value it, and it genuinely is one of the things that keeps me going. I know I've been a bit patchy and inconsistent with my posting over the years. Things have been hard, like since 2024 when my granny died of cancer, and then literally like 2 weeks before she died my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and then he had a whole almost year-long battle, and then he died. And it's been hard coming onto social media sometimes, and filming and things like that and getting things out there. But when I do pop in, the support that I get has really meant so much to me. And I'm still going to be making content about books that has nothing to do with me writing. I'm still going to make content about me writing. You'll get everything. So follow along for my regular bookish content, follow along for my writing content and for news about it and for potentially news about how to become an ARC reader if you're interested in stuff like that. Thank you again for your support. It means the world to me, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more about this journey with you. I'll see you in my next video.